Your time has come. The cold out burns the face. It's castles crashing down the way. You're perfect. You're sorry. The sky is red with each new dawn, and the Lord is getting long. For all lost in space, with shadow souls with shadow grace. So we're the light of fallen leaves, we're right down in the turbulence. You're perfect, you're sorry.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
All right, I want to welcome Toxsick as our special guest today.
What up? What up?
Change up my mic.
Is it working?
It is. Good morning, Toxsick. Hi.
Good
I'm
morning,
Luke.
man. How are you?
Doing good.
Hey, Toxic. The first thing I'd ask you, man, how did the angle grinder get integrated into the show? It's such a great prop. I just absolutely loved it when I saw you guys live. Like, how did you come up with the idea to do that?
Well, so like in my day life, my normal life, I'm a welder, fabricator. I'm always messing with metal. I mean, that's all I do is build shit and fabricate shit and Mad Max and all that. So I had the grinder, and I honestly, the first time I had it on stage, I think I was repairing something earlier that day, and I had the grinder like on the side of the stage, and I was like just mid show, and I looked over at it, and I was like, dude, I should like shoot some sparks. I didn't have anything to like grind on, so I have that apparatus on my microphone, right? That like spike. And the first time I ever did it, we were in Minneapolis in our hometown, and I grabbed the grinder and I ground off of my piece on my microphone, and it worked. It shot sparks, but over the PA, you could hear it again, go grrr against the microphone. You know what I mean? So it's just from then on. And then I looked at the damage that it caused, like really quickly to my microphone. And I was like, shit, that ate in there pretty quick, dude. I was like, so I need to get me a
an angle grinder can cut metal. It cuts.
Yeah,
anything.
I was like, oh, I didn't realize I was like so pumped with adrenaline. So I ended up from then on, because as soon as the sparks lit, like the people just lit up. Like
oh
the
my
crowd
God,
just,
man. It is such a great stage prop. Like I don't think I've ever seen any other band spray the crowd with hot metal, but it worked so well. You know, you got like the kind of normal vapors and light show and whatever, but
yep,
like to get
yep,
sprayed with hot metal, like if in the front row,
yes,
like, oh my God, this is really metal.
yes, for sure. And it's a lot of fun. And it looks wild, but there's definitely a technique to it, because the last thing I'd ever want to do is, have one of those my discs come apart, so I never point it like down head level. I'm always shooting it up so it sprays, and if I ever had one break, it would go up instead of like directly in someone's face, because that'd be like bad news. And I never like tell the club unless they know we're gonna do it, because I'm always like of the old saying, it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. So I always just wait and then let that thing buck, once we're there.
For sure. So how long does it take to prep the fin, man? That thing's got to take at least an hour to get ready to go.
Oh, my hair?
Yeah.
Well, in the early days, it could take up to 2.5, 3 hours. Because I was so meticulous about it. And I was just, now I got it to a science. Like, dude, I was up in that hotel room. I threw that thing up 20 minutes before we went down there.
No way. Is it all done with egg whites? Is that how you do it?
No. So the egg whites, a lot of old schoolers, way back in the day, they'd be like, the gelatin, the egg whites. They're like, is it cum? Like everybody's always like, and I'm like, yeah, it's cum. No, I use got to be glued. The yellow spray looks like a wasp killer. It's in a yellow can.
Is it like
I used to use, yeah, it's just aerosol spray, dude. And I used to use Bedhead, but Bedhead's like $25 a can, and they got to be glued at Walmart $6.99, and the shit holds way better. So I go through quite a bit of it. So I just use that yellow can, and I just like finesse it up, blow dry it, boom, boom, boom. I'm out the door in probably 30 tops. 30 tops. I can do that hair. 2 coats.
Awesome. Hey, so we got some other stuff we wanted to talk about, but like
Yeah.
I had one thing I wanted to ask before we get to some of the stuff that Lucas had for you. So in listening to some of the older stuff that the band put out, the vocals were a little bit more gruff, but I mean your way of singing is super melodic in the later stuff.
Thanks,
How did you guys change direction? Like, was that a decided direction that you said, hey, I want to start doing it this way, or like how did that come about? Because like when I heard you singing, and the way that I got connected to you guys and first heard you was at Crypticon.
Yep.
So I wanted to hear a little bit about your connections with those guys as well. But like, how did you make that direction and started saying, hey, I want to start singing more melodically?
Well, so dude, that's oh man, it's an awesome question, because my favorite band of all time is Pink Floyd. So I've always been heavy on like the singing and melody, and no dead time between songs, and everything has to flow, and the old, yo, it's trippy, man. Blue Felix is LSD. That's because in the old days, like my younger days, I was heavy into like, I don't want to trail off the question, but it all kind of blankets in to it, because I was never really like a metalhead. You know what I mean? I was like a punk rock kid that grew up on a native reservation that was surrounded by, kids that listened to rap. And so I was like a punk rock, like rap kid. And then it just kind of like, they got a hold of my dad's records, and all it was Pink Floyd and Jimi Hendrix and shit like that. and CCR and Steve Miller Band and then old school, like old stoner shit. And so I've always been like, I always like to sing, and I've always liked that. You know what I mean? And then so I don't know, when you say older, I don't know which stuff you were listening to, because in the oldest days it was actually very singy.
I
And-
guess there was just a vein in there where I heard, kind of, and
Yep.
even some of the background vocals where it's that, kind of sort
Yeah.
of singing style.
Yes.
That's what I meant, is like the transition from that kind of
Well,
stuff.
because so in the very early days, super like embarrassing recordings. We all like start somewhere. Even the one I just listened to when you played the intro, I'm listening to it and I'm like, but off the record, that sucks. You know what I mean? I like the mix, you know what I mean? Like, because live we do it way different. And one of our biggest issues throughout our whole life is everyone has always said, the record and Blue Felix record, whatever. But you got to see them live, dude. They sound way different, with the right system, because we've never been able to really capture what we do live on a record.
Hey man, what I saw you guys at the show, like absolutely knocked my socks off. I've been to hundreds of shows, man. I've seen so many bands, and like I didn't know what to expect, because
Cool.
like the other band like didn't show up. I'm like, this is gonna be a complete shit show.
Yep.
But then when you guys came out, and then when you started singing, I was like, holy shit, this is great. Like I stayed for the whole thing, like had to track you down. It's fantastic live show.
Dude, I super appreciate that. And on that note too, is we drove down from Minneapolis, and dude, when we pulled up and the stage was supposed to be that trailer, I turned and I looked at the sound man and I almost lost my shit, dude. The entire band was like, we're not setting our shit out here. Get back in the van. Let's go home. I'm like, no. Just listen. They're like, no, dude, we're not, we're not kids anymore. This isn't cool. You know what I mean? And I'm like, listen, for me, it's like, dude, I know. You know how badly I want to leave? You know how bad it sucks to show up and play in a parking lot on the ground? I said, but listen, dudes, what if nighttime comes and a handful of people show up and they really fucking love it, dude? They're like, all right, man, whatever. Like, it better be cool, dude. And they're like, all day they're kind of looking at me like, why are we still here? You know what I mean? Because there's no stage, dude. And so we made the call. I told the sound dude, Bobby, I was like, listen, man, like, we're not going on that trailer. First of all, like, the back wheels are up on the curb. Like, it's not even all the way on the ground. Like, that's a hazard. Like, I don't give a shit about, safety, but the other guys are like, well, yes, I do a little bit. But so we moved into the parking lot, and we ended up, it went off great, dude, like you said. And so just yesterday, the band is on their way here at 2:00 today. We're rehearsing for Rockfest up here. So and July 20th, our next show is blah, blah, blah. I don't want to trail off, dude. I ramble a No.
Plug your show. We want to hear about it.
Yeah, so it's Rockfest in Cadott, Wisconsin. It's a 3-day festival, Jelly Roll, 2 Live Crew, like all kind of, there's so many bands, just too many to even list. But back to, not to get off the topic, but they wanted to leave, dude. And I begged them. I was like, let's just see what happens, please. If it sucks, it's my fault, dude, whatever. But we just drove a long way. Let's just do it. And then at the end of the night, the other bands, and it's like, I don't, I'm not a death metal fan. So when it's like, when you're in a, 90-degree, 100-degree direct heat, there's no stage, it's blast beats for 5 hours. I'm like, bro, it kills me. It kills me. But once the heat went down, everybody's attitude adjusted, because everybody's hot and cranky, and I was like, let's just fucking rock this shit. And so we just like threw a parking lot party, and it worked out, dude. You know what I mean? And luckily the sound man was super confident and the PA was slamming.
It sounded great. Like, he really did a great job of putting. I mean, sometimes shows sound so bad,
Yeah.
like the vocals will be buried, or it's just the mix is way off. But it was perfect. He did a great job mixing.
Yes, dude, and he killed it. And I had never met him or anything, and I just, all I know is Bobby, and that's who I'm looking for. So I'm looking on the parking lot for Bobby, and I'm like, listen, Bobby, like, this is what we're gonna do. And he's looking at me like, this is a fucking disaster. Like, oh, this stage is not gonna cut it. And so we're both trying to like frantically figure something out, like what we're gonna do to make this show happen. And I was like, listen, like, what do you got for a PA? Because if he would have said like, I got a karaoke machine, I'm like, we're out of here. You know what I mean? So, but he showed me his system, and I was like, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he had like that 8-foot by 8-foot soundboard, you know.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
that thing was
Yes, he
massive.
did. Yes. And with his subs, and I checked out his amps, and I was like, okay, you got some firepower. What kind of power do we have down here? The one big generator. And I was like, okay, you can make this work, you know? And so we made it work, dude. He made it work. He killed it. He's like, dude, I've actually heard of your band. Like, I love you guys, man. I've been like waiting forever to like mix you guys. And I was like, cool, dude. So at least this dude's cool. He's not like a soundman. He's like, I don't want to fucking be here. Fuck you. I'm like, oh shit, this is really gonna suck. You know what I mean? So, which normal sound guys are like that. So he was actually really cool.
So what's your connection to Crypticon? How did they even
Okay, so yeah, sorry, dude. I ramble like a super lot. That's why they're like, yo, take the microphone. You never shut up. So Chaz, the dude that puts on the whole thing, the guy that literally owns Crypticon and like puts all of them.
Yeah, I met him. Yep.
Yep. So I've known him better than 20 years. We've been playing music. You know, I'm older than the hills, dude. So it's like he used to play in a band called Wrecking Day way back in the day. And we used to like play shows together in Minneapolis scene back like, you know, before smartphones and when people actually came to the shows, and, you know, we were drawing 500 to 1,000 people on a 5-day notice at any club downtown, dude. And it was just madness back in the day. You know what I mean? And it was a lot different when people came to shows, but that's how I know Chaz from. And so for years we played Crypticon like 2008. It was us and Mushroomhead, Minneapolis. And then shout out Mushroomhead, real good friends of mine. And Chaz, we've always just been in contact. And actually one of his sons was in the bands earlier. And then his other son is a really good friend of my old bass player. And we've always been connected, dude. The last Crypticon we played was I actually played at my punk rock band, Astral Tramp. So I play guitar, and just the singer, Johnny Hardcore. This kid I'm off subject again, but the last Crypticon we played, dude smashes beer bottles and cuts his chest up. Like his chest looks like a topical graph of like the mountains or whatever. He's just a super wild punk rock kid, slices himself all up and screams and eats cans and whatever else. But we were on our way to load in, and the drummer at the time, his girlfriend died. He found her in the basement. So I was like, dude, that sucks. Obviously, like that sucks. Like, what do you say to that? You know, but we're like here and we're like loading in and we play in like an hour and all these people are like here to see us. So Chaz, actually his drummer, we didn't know what to do. I called everybody I knew and everybody's busy. And so Chaz is like, well, my drummer will just freestyle it with you. And I was like, well, it's a dirty punk rock band. Can you just basically go? He's like, yeah, I got that. And so we just threw together like a hodgepodge disaster set in front of like 500 people. It was like unbelievable. But it's like that was the last time I played Crypticon. So
do you think will you guys be playing the September Crypticon, or are they not having bands for it, or you got
September as in like Minneapolis?
Yeah, I mean, Crypticon's coming to Minneapolis, as far as I know. It's
yeah. So a lot of people said they don't know if it's happening. I just text because Minneapolis and Flint, Michigan is like our bread and butter.
Well, I'm pretty sure. Like, I got it on the screen right now, so it looks like they're coming. So I mean, I was talking to Chad. It sounds like they're trying to make it happen. So maybe.
Yeah. So yes, he told me. I was like, well, dude, what's up with the Minneapolis one? You know, like. Get a stage. No, I was like, if you know what's up.
Get a stage. We're not doing that shit again. Like,
yeah,
have a stage. We'll do it.
Yeah, no. It's you know, there was a magic in that time, but I don't want to make a habit out of the parking lot. But we if there is a Minneapolis one, I was like, Chaz, let's do Minneapolis because there's a lot of people here that goes to the Crypticon here, and then that's our home base. So we'd have we'll bring an extra handful of people that may not have been there, and then plus people that are there. So we were talking to somebody, and they said the Kansas City Crypticon has more people throughout the day, maybe, or they said something like that, but they leave. But the Minneapolis one, they just party harder. They just show up at night and just party. So every Crypticon I've played in Minneapolis, I don't think we've played less to 200 people, like in the actual like banquet room inside the hotel.
All right. Well, that's a plug for everybody. If you're in the Twin Cities area, or if you're anywhere in the area, watch for an announcement. See if they're playing at Crypticon. See if you can see Blue Felix. If not, July 20th. Hey, Rusty, I know you had a connection with one of the bands that Blue Felix knew. Want to mention that again?
Oh, it's not so much that I had a connection. Back a few years ago, I used to live in Minneapolis in the St. Paul area. I used to live in Forest Lakes there when I first got out of the Marine Corps in 2007. I lived in Minneapolis around that time, and I was going to a lot of concerts and hanging around a lot of that kind of style. And I saw Five Finger Death Punch a couple of times live in concert, and a couple small venues like you're talking about. And it's really awesome to see things like that. And then a couple years later, my roommate was actually Ivan Moody's cousin, and we were talking and communicating on that. And it was really interesting to see. I saw that you played with Five Finger Death Punch at a couple of your shows, and I was just seeing if you got to really know that band very well.
Yeah, dude. So, actually, my girlfriend used to live in Flake, so like Forest, like they call it Flake. So we way back in the day, Five Finger Death Punch. Even so, right as like when Ivan left Motograder, because he used to be a Motograder, and he left Motograder and he started this new band. Well, they came through and they played an acoustic set at Best Buy in Minneapolis, and then we were playing the night before. I think we played 2 nights. I don't remember how it went, but we were at this place called The Rock, and it used to be our like. Dude, that was like the lair of Blue Felix.
I think that's the bar I went to. What town was that in?
That one's in Maplewood, right next to the Myth, the big one, the Rock nightclub.
I think that's where I used to go all the time. Is the Rock?
Yeah, if you saw, it's right next to that Perkins and all that little scene right there.
Yep. That's the one I used to go. I was trying to remember the name of that nightclub that I saw him in concert and all that time. Like, I spent like by half my week was spent at the Rock. I love that place.
Yep. So you've seen them at the Rock, and they remember when they came out and they had the super soakers. They had water guns.
Yep. I was there for that. Yeah, I remember I seeing him at the Rock, and that was one of the things I really loved about him, because I think that was like right in their early years. It was like right in the beginning of the first couple CDs that they were singing, and I loved their music. I really connected to them because of my military background, and I just loved that type of song style that they had. And man, seeing them live in concert at the Rock was awesome, because it was just like you said, such a small venue. You can get really in close and personal with the musicians.
Oh, there was 300 people in there tops, dude. And so you're right. We played the night before. And so we went up there and we were playing a show, and Five Finger Death Punch was in town a day early. They did an acoustic show at Best Buy, and then they went to check out the venue that they were going to be playing at the next day. And we were just happened to be playing that night. And I
was there that night. I saw you guys. I was there that night before, because I remember I took shots with Five Finger Death Punch at the bar when they were coming out to check you guys out. Yes,
dude. And so what's rad about that is, so of course I'm always networking, and we get there and we play the show, and then Ivan's standing there, and we go up to him, and we ended up, so my guitar player, who just retired last year, he was in the game for many, many years, and he just couldn't do the live thing anymore. And Exhale, long black hair dude, he's a glass blower. He's one of the top glass blowers for a Hideaway and what's it called, Minnesota Legit and all that, the glass blowers. Well, Five Finger Death Punch, we go in there and I talk to Ivan. We're in the back, and I don't want to, blow up his spot. He's maybe sober now or whatever, but this is like 2008 or whatever. And he's like, hey man, where's, and I grew weed. Like I got raided in 2011. So that's all been done a long time ago. And now weed's legal. So it's not even a big deal. But back in the day, like I was the weed guy, you know what I mean? And so Ivan's like, where do you, I'm like, funny you should ask. You're talking to the dude. You know what I mean? So I was like, whatever you need, bro. It's on me. No, whatever. So I tell him, he's like, well, we're going to be playing here tomorrow. If you could bring it up. I said, all right, well, after our set, yada, yada, yada. We go there. And what's funny is there was this dude, Pablo from 93X. I don't know if you remember him. And
I don't remember him specifically, but I do remember that station. And yeah, man, this brings back so many good memories because I was totally there for both days. Like I was there for Five Finger Death Punch concert that night that you're talking about, and I was there the night before for your guys'. And I remember seeing Ivan like at the bar. I was like, dude, that's Five Finger. Like, and nobody else at the bar really knew who they were because they were there for you guys and not Five Finger. And I was like, dude, that's Five Finger, like right there. Let's go take shots with them. And I was like, started talking to him and hanging out with him at the bar while listening to you guys.
Yes, and I knew him from Moto Grader way back in the day. And dude, what's wild is so Exhale, his name's Chris. He ran home to his studio that night, and we're supposed to meet, Ivan the next day, right? And we'd bring him some weed and all this. And I brought him just a beautiful bag. And Chris brought him, he went home and blew a glass pipe. It looked like brass knuckles and it said 5FDP on the knuckles.
That's so awesome.
And so the next day we walk in there and I walk in and Chris has the pipe. He's going to give him beautiful pipe. Chris is so good, dude. Like he's like one of the top blowers in the state. And Ivan's standing there. And then there's Pablo, the dude from 93X. And for some reason, like Blue Felix has kind of always been hated. People are very, whatever. And so he never really gives me his time of day. And he plays all these other bands except Blue Felix. And he's like, he's just a kind of, I don't know, a dickhead. So we walk in.
So the dude from 93X has just snubbed you. Like 100%.
Yes, 100%. 100%. He's always been like that, And so there's a bunch of people there. We get there early while Ivan and them guys are like sound check and they're getting ready. We get there early so we can take care of what we told them we were going to bring them, blah, blah, blah. We walk in and I'm standing there and then Pablo's standing there. He's kind of looking at me like, what is this guy doing here? This is my thing. Like I'm talking to Ivan, whatever. He's just got that attitude. And so then boom, Ivan comes around the corner and he walks in, Pablo having no idea that the arrangement we set up the night before. He's standing there and Ivan walks and he's squawking right towards Pablo and I'm just a little behind him at the bar. And Pablo, as Ivan passes, he goes, hey, Ivan, what's up? And he puts his hand out and Ivan walks right past him and comes up to me with a big old hug. I was just like, fuck, yes, dude. Yes. Yes. And so hug the dude. Hand him the pipe, and he's like, dude, we're not even going to use this. We're going to put this in a glass case. This is you guys fucking made this? And I look over at Exhale. I was like, yes, dude, this is so dope to just such a cool memory with them. And then they played the set, and they ran out on the Super Soakers, and Ivan shot me like under my eyelid with a stream, and I was like, my eyelid flipped back, and I was just laughing, and we just had a blast that night. Those guys took off, and then dude, 5 years later, they're like driving Ferraris. You know what I mean?
That's such an awesome story.
So it's one other memory from that night is I used to have a road crew guy, and his name was Yim, and YIM, and he's a beast of a man, dude, like 300 something pounds, ex-prison, like all that. He's just a bodyguard / merch guy / just whatever. And he's very no filter, very, cigar stuffed in the front of his thing. At the time, we're all in our 20s and he's 50, a big ass dude, leather trench coat that he painted all on the back. And it's got the Grim Reaper and he's just a monster. And I'm standing there and I'm like, yo, Yim, that's the dude from, Five Finger. He's over at the bar. When he was standing at the bar, I said, I'm going to go over there and say what up to him. I was like, be cool, dude. And Yim's the type, he's like, I don't give a fuck who you are. We're all worm food. And I'm like, just Yim, chill the fuck out because, we want to get in good with this guy. And we go over there and I'll never forget this dude on my life, dude. I cannot believe this happened. Ivan's got a teardrop tattoo on his face. And Yim being, out of prison. And he walks up to him and Yim's like 6'4", right? And Ivan's probably like 5'5". Like he's not a big dude at all. And he's short, and which is no big deal, you know what I mean? And Yim goes up to him, and I'm kind of like biting my nails. Like, what's he gonna say, dude? Don't do nothing stupid. You always do. Don't do nothing stupid. And he looks at him, and he does his shot, and he looks over at Ivan. He goes, "See that tattoo on your face?" And he just says something like that. And Ivan looks at him, and he goes, "I got this tattoo so I wouldn't have to explain to idiots like you." and then Yim looks at him, adjusts his big ass cigar in his mouth, slides the bar stool over, and he goes, "You want to hop up on there and say that to my face?" I was like, no, dude, no, no. And Ivan turned around and he went to the back, and I don't know if that's what it was, but me and Ivan never talked again. So I was like, God damn it. But he was cool because they played their set, and then he sprayed me with a water gun. They drove away. They had the pipe. To this day, the story is silly. You want to hop up on the bar stool and say that to my face? I was like, dude, why him? Why? Why? It's a hilarious story, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, he's just a kid. He's a dude from Davenport, Iowa, in a cornfield, moved to Minnesota, just no filter. He doesn't give a shit about if you're the most famous dude in the world or not, which we're all human beings. I get it, but you got to know when to like network and kind of bite your tongue, dude. Don't say some dumb shit like that. You know what I mean? When this is like a business that we're trying to like excel in, and you got to like have friends, and you're not going to have friends by doing that shit. So needless to say, Yim does not travel with us anymore and hasn't for at least 10 years.
That's one of the funniest lines I've ever heard. That's I mean, I love making friends, but I don't know, that was worth the story. I'd say it's worth the story.
Yes, that's why I bring it up, because I'm like, dude, it's just hilarious. So I trailed off your question, but yes, dude, like Five Finger played back in the day. They played Best Buy with an acoustic set. They did The Bleeding. The burning, the bleeding, and which was an awesome song, dude. I just actually listened to it like yesterday. And on the way back from Crypticon, I was jamming old Five Finger on the way up, because these days you got to be careful who you play Five Finger Discount or whatever it's called, Five Finger Death Punch. Sorry, that was a complete accident. But because some people are like, "Oh, Five Finger fart box" or whatever. People just dislike them. But I'm like, Ivan was always cool, dude, and I like the early stuff, so I don't really have a issue with anything like that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and I've always been a huge fan of Five Finger myself.
Yeah.
Like I said, I always loved their first stuff, the early day stuff, and of course they're going to get a lot of flack for their music, because so some of it's very patriotic, and a lot of their songs, like me being in the military, like I listen to some of their songs and I almost tear up, and like their music videos that they do, they're very real, and like you said, like they go out and they play really great shows, and they were one of the bands that I started listening to when they first started, and I've always been a fan of them, and I always listen to them and just look forward to what they're still doing.
Yeah, they're cool dudes, man, and I have nothing bad to say. They're awesome guys, and on that note, like, thanks for your service, dude. Like, I grew up military home. I personally never did. My dad was a Navy SEAL, 68 to 83, in Vietnam and all that stuff. So growing up in raised by a Navy SEAL, like I had a really, strict upbringing with my dad in certain areas, but like at the same time, he was like, "You're never going to the military, what they did to me," so I never even like signed up, but thanks, dude. Like, I get it. I totally get it. But they're very, very much like, a lot of people like, fucking Five Finger, they tapped into the military, so immediately got a huge background. That's like a Christian band. All of a sudden, you already have a built-in following, like whatever. So I'm like, dude, they're Ivan was cool, man, and I like the early shit for sure.
Right on. Hey, Lucas, I wanted to give a chance for you to ask a couple questions. I know you had some thoughts where you might want to take the conversation. So what do you got for Toxsick?
Oh, I'm still soaking in. A Christian band already has a built-in audience.
Hey, you gotta tap. You gotta tap the audience. You can tap. You know,
For
don't
sure,
worry.
for sure. I actually, at my old bass player, one of my best friends, was in a Christian band for many, many years, and he toured. And he goes, "Hey, don't get it twisted, dude. His buddy, his old bass player, OD'd and died on tour while in a Christian band." He goes, "We probably had more girls than."
Toxic, you rubber banded there first. Are you still there?
Yeah, we might have lost him for just a second. See if we can get
Oh,
him back.
bummer.
Yeah, that was. Oh, that was. I was looking forward to that story. That sounded cool. You know, you never hear
Uh,
the behind the scenes on Christian bands.
well, God just sent down a lightning bolt. Um, yeah, Grant, and hopefully Toxic gets back. You didn't tell me. You didn't tell me the show was in a parking lot. Yeah, I have a list. I have like I used to throw a lot of parties, and I had a rule that the best parties are the parties that people ended up singing at. And I have like shows that great bands that I want to go see, but also like some getting away from the paradigm of the stage in front of a box. Like I saw a show once where the band played under a massive oak tree, and they had all these dancers up in the tree, and everybody was like 360 degrees around that tree. Um, incredible place to see a show. One I saw
Yes,
another.
yes.
Wait. I think we got. Toxic.
Okay, you're back.
Yeah.
Hey man, we didn't hear the full story about the Christian band. So you said
Okay,
there was
I'm
more
sorry,
girls.
dude. I'm sorry. Actually, like my son's 17. He got in a whole bunch of trouble, so his court was yesterday, and I've been waiting to find out what happened, and he just tried to FaceTime me during that. I'm like, bro, I've like waiting days. I haven't talked to him, and I just hit the red don't answer. I'm like, no. So I just texted him really quick. I was like, buddy, give me 20 minutes. I'll call you back. I don't, but no, the Christian band. I don't know where it cut off. Yeah, as soon as
Right
my
when
son,
you said there was more girls, and that was like right when you were going to get into the like great part of the story.
yes, I said, don't get it twisted, dude. We got more girls and more drugs than a normal band, and his bass player like OD'd on tour while they were doing it and died. He's like, we partied extremely hard. We just had the funding and the backing in every city you're in, any church, you tell them that's your, affiliation, and that, you're fed, you got fuel, you're taken care of. He goes, so that was like our shtick, dude. And I was like, I never thought of it like that. Like maybe Blue Felix is a Christian band. That's what I was saying.
Like we want to
Maybe,
get fed too. Gas money would be
yes.
nice.
Yes, that's why I always would tell our guys, because if you drive across like state lines with a band, it's technically a business. And even though now we got LLC and stuff, but in the early days, we're just like a band cruising around, and we got this merch and there's money. So you're technically making money. So I would tell whoever's driving, if we get pulled over, just tell the cop we're trust fund kids driving around, spreading the word of our Lord Savior Jesus Christ, and then give him a pamphlet, and hopefully he'll be like, all right, get out of here, kid, you bother me. And we'll just drive away, but it's just silly how that works. But yeah, completely, dude. I never thought Christian band, and then my buddy's like, no, dude, no, don't get it twisted, bro. We were ruthless. I was like, oh damn, okay.
So Toxic, you said that Blue Felix is LSD.
Yep.
You mentioned you grew up on a native reservation too.
Yep.
When I think of music, and I used to go, I was telling Grant when you dropped out, some of the shows I used to go to. I'm always looking.
You had a lot of ties in South by Southwest too. Really, you told me about that.
Yeah, I lived in Austin for several years, and I worked for South by Southwest, and so
Sweet.
even I was during South by, I would also go to like 8 shows in a day, and they're 45-minute sets, but like I would see 50 shows in a couple of days, and when you get a chance, I guess that like sort of informed. I used to go to shows in some way to like see the star, to like be obsessive about the lyrics and whatnot. But after a while, I got to where like I wanted to go see any show, and I was very concentrated on like what emotional space was it taking to me. Like that was like, what do I
Yeah.
feel
Yes.
in this space?
Yes.
And you know, you mentioned like well, because I was also telling Grant, like, to me the best shows that I've ever gone to, like the next level shows, are ones that get away from the you know, like band on a stage in a box
Yeah.
in front of you, and that whole separation.
Yes.
And you guys, you know, you have the metal grinder, that's really reaching out, and I mean, that's like a metaphysical touching of the audience.
Yes.
um
Yes. Yes.
it's how do you when you're thinking like where you want to take Blue Felix, or even like when you're sizing up the audience, because you know, I also, I think like part, like what some of the, like, I guess, professionalism of being in a band is reading the emotions of the
Yeah.
audience.
Read the room for sure, dude. Yeah.
How can you take us to like where you're trying to go whenever
Yeah.
you're
So
building that experience?
yeah. So I always used to tell people Blue Felix, and they're like, Blue Phoenix, Blue Fields, Blue Fetus. I'm like, no, Blue Felix, and blue. And everybody's like, you should do the logo in blue. I'm like, why? I say blue's the state of mind, not a color. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I try to take away from the obvious. And Blue Felix has always been, for me in my situation, my childhood, although it was great, it was equally bad. And so I would leave my reality when I found these things, substances at a young age. And so I've taken all that experience of all those years, once I wasn't able to do those substances anymore, and I turned it into like the band, and then the music is the drug, and we just drive around peddling our drug, which is the music, and the music makes them feel a certain way as if they were giving them the drug. So Blue Felix is just kind of like an audio version of a psychedelic, is what I was trying to go with, you know. So the
Amen.
visual, the feeling. So for those 30 to hour, whatever, 30 to 60 minutes you're watching Blue Felix, you're not worried about your problems at home. You're not worried about the shit you got to do tomorrow. You're just in that moment, love it or hate it. You're staring at it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And
So that was kind of my target, is to, you know, give all the it's so cliche, but all the people that don't fit in have somewhere to fit in, you know, because Blue Felix is for everybody, you know. It's for nobody and it's for everybody, because we don't sound like nothing else, and that's why it's so hard to get shows, because people are like, well, I don't know, what band do we put you with to go on tour? You don't sound like anybody, like, we don't know, like, you know. So it's like, well, that sucks, you know. And then it's like, it's hard because you don't fit in, but I'm used to that. But then all these people gravitate, and then probably every single show I've ever played, people are like, dude, I don't understand how you guys are not huge. Like, this is unreal.
That
I'm
is,
like,
hey,
yeah,
that was one of the first thoughts that I had. Is like after saw you, I was like, I started, you know, just like looking into the history of the band and kind of where you guys were at, and I was like,
yeah,
how have I not heard about you? Because like
yeah,
I live in Minneapolis, like I should have been to one of these shows
yes,
already. So
dude,
it's too, it's
yes. And the problem, the number one problem is money. Like, money, you need money. Like, you need money. I worked with all the way up to the point where I'm hanging out and sleeping over at Sid's house, and he's in Slipknot. I made it all the way up networking to the point where I wish Sid happy birthday, love you, brother, back every single year, and a text here and there, or a FaceTime once in a while. Like, that's all networking and meeting people. And everybody kind of just told me the same thing. They're like, dude, unfortunately, like, we can only get you so far. Like, it costs this, it costs that. You got to,
Well,
you
hey,
know,
one kind of cool thing about being on this show is this show has a pretty strong crypto component, and I wanted to just like ask you a question about that, because
yeah,
obviously we always try and tie it in, because we a lot
yeah.
of times we'll talk about this kind of stuff. What's your experience with crypto so far? Have you had a chance to get any Bitcoin? Have you ever purchased an NFT? Have you ever kind of done anything with the crypto community? Because I know that a lot of what happens in the crypto community is sort of like a lot of crossover stuff. So there's been a lot of
Yeah.
artists, musicians,
Yep.
whatever, that have started to do things that touch the blockchain, and it's also
Yes.
bringing new patronage in, right? Like one
Yep.
thing we've talked about a lot on this show is how some of the things that have been happening in crypto are new patronage models for artists, like how to get
Yep.
money connected with people that they want to see blow up, because
Yeah.
this whole crypto thing, people have suddenly become millionaires and billionaires, man, and they're like,
Yep.
I want to give a little bit back. So yeah, like
Oh yeah,
curious
dude.
about your experience there.
Dude, for a couple 100,000 non-recoupable funds, dude, would be the next household name. Like, I got the Rolodex, I got the product. They always say you need to have connections, talent, and money, and you got to have two of them, or you're not going to do it. You got to almost have all three. And I got it to the point where I don't want to be like, we got talent, like whatever. I'm just like a hack doing whatever. But people tell us, hey, you guys are good. So if we got that one, and then I had the connections, I just needed the money to complete the triangle, and then it's just been so hard. But going back to your question.
Well, hey, hold on a minute. Because a lot of times we pick up a lot on replay. So if you're listening to this on replay and you love Blue Felix and you like what you heard from Toxsick and you want to get connected to him, just let me know. Hit me up on the DM.
That'd be awesome, man.
And he would love to have a chat with you if you're crypto like millionaire, billionaire, and you want to blow up Blue Felix. Like,
dude, if you're millionaire, billionaire, and you want to help put Blue Felix on the map, dude, you not only are coming to every show backstage partying with us for life, you are 100% like in the crew. I make custom clothes, tox.life, tox.life. Type in your browser, it'll send all the links.
I got it on the screen right now, brother.
I make custom clothes with shit money. I don't care how much money you got, you're not gonna get the shit I make. It's one of one, handmade, dude. It's not even for sale. And I'll make sure your outfit is decked out to the T. We're having the funnest experience of your life. Come with, dude. You literally we'll just be best friends. You're part of the crew. Let's run it. Let's literally have so much fun. Meet every band you ever want to meet. Travel the world doing this crazy ass circus, dude. Like a blast. Such a blast. So shout out to, that, man, because that's been my whole problem my whole life, dude. Is everybody's always told me, they're like, yeah, well, it's a little bit of money. It's a little bit, and I've borrowed and I've drained 401ks and I've sold almost everything I had for this, dude. And it's just like I said, dude, on my grave, it's just going to say almost.
No way, man. you're gonna be like, and it all stemmed back to that one parking lot show.
Yes, dude. Then the band wanted to leave. And if that happened, like, dude, we stayed, met a dude, met another dude, and now we're playing on a parking lot in Dubai, dude. Like
totally. And like some of that, can super happen. It's like sometimes I'm chatting with Russ, I'm like, you're like one step away from who? And it's this community is small and it's crazy, like the amount of like increase in personal wealth that some people have had because they just happen to be in the right place at the right time with some crazy stupid token that hundreds of thousand X's, man. It's a wild, crazy.
Dude, I mean, I don't know how much time you got for the show, but I actually got some, dude, we could do this for 24 hours straight, and I got some wild stories and things that have happened. And on the Bitcoin note,
well, hey, Toxsick, we usually do 2 hours when we have a guest on. So, if you want to stay a bit longer, like we don't have to bail in 10 minutes, like whatever.
Okay, cool. Dude,
we're good to go.
I'm totally down. The only thing is I did want to catch up with my son, but when my girl wakes up, I can just text from her phone quick. Other than that, I got rehearsal at 4:00. So that's all I'm doing today. Like the band's coming here and, we're going to get ready. We got our sound guy coming. We're going to dial stuff from Rockfest. But yeah, I'm down, dude. I'm down.
Right on now. Well, let's at least run it for, good 40 minutes. Half hour.
Oh yeah, dude. 100%. So, tour stories and all that is one thing. And like some of the things I've done and, that's its own thing. And I've been ejected and personally banned physically from 11 clubs in my life, never to return. And like, things like that. I was kind of like a Tasmanian devil. And I just basically in the drinking days, I was just like a whole problem. And I don't really drink much anymore, like at all. Maybe I do a shot of egg once in a while here and there for old time's sake, but I don't. But, as far as the crypto stuff, two different things. A really good friend of mine, Jared Goslin, goes by. But I don't want to give a stage name because he's like a masked dude. He wears like a LED mask and he plays like Coachella and all that stuff. And if you want to Google him, Jared Gosselin. He's out of Detroit. He did all Mary J. Blige's stuff. He was on the original like D12 and Slim Shady's first record and all that. I met him actually at the Dirty Dog in South by Southwest.
No way. What year?
2017.
I was at South by. I was through the Dirty Dog.
Yes, dude, the Dirty Dog. So my old management.
So Lucas and Rusty, you guys are both like connected with Toxsick, like just like brushed past each other. Crazy stuff.
So many times, and we played Dirty Dog with Head PE. If you remember when Head PE was there. 2017 or it had to be 17. Had to be.
Well, I mean, I was there. I mean, I was there from like 2012 through to 2019. So it's,
all right, and so I played Dirty Dog in 2012, and I have one of the wildest tour stories of my life to date. Started in the Dirty Dog.
Well, wait a minute. Before we get to that, let's clear out the crypto thing.
Yes, my bad, dude. That's what I'm telling you. We got, if the show
I'll keep you on track.
So yes, that's my biggest issue. Like my attention span is, so the crypto thing, Jared, super good friend of mine, one of my best friends. He was out in LA. Situations changed, so he's back in Detroit now, but he was working with a guy who had the wealth, like you're talking about, significantly, and we were working on something. It was going to happen, and then this guy somehow partying ended up with some fentanyl. So this guy who had extreme wealth and everything was on track. I was flying out to LA. I was like 2 months into an album we were working on with some of the biggest names in the industry. And then the guy backing it was found in his Beverly Hills home. So I'm almost, there's my life again, which, that sucks for me, but more so for bro, because, I wish he would have been alive for life. You know what I mean? I don't want anybody to die, but it's like, oh, great. Here, we're on our way, dude. We're literally flying to LA making this thing that's going to work. But not to get off topic, that dude was doing the cryptos, all that stuff. So he had a place out there in a studio called Level in LA. And so I make custom clothes. So my buddy, I was making these custom leather jackets. He was importing like the leather from Italy. Dude, we were using like the punk rock studs. We were using 24 karat gold, like studs. Like the artwork on them and the hoodies we were making, we would like delete the front pocket of a hoodie and put like crocodile leather in your front hoodie pocket and then line the hood with 24 karat gold spikes. Some of the most incredible jackets I've ever made in my life. But when you bought an NFT, you got the jacket. That's how he was selling them. Then he was going to have these parties where the only way to get in was to wear one of these jackets or a hoodie or a pants or an outfit you bought from an NFT. And then they would have like this virtual party in this like world or whatever. I don't know anything about like all that, but that was his plan.
Sounds awesome.
So sorry, I wait for a minute to hear a breath or something. I don't know if I get cut off.
No. It was,
I'm not tech
fine.
savvy.
Like we're all like muting and actively listening. And
okay, cool. I just
want to jump in. No, so don't worry about it. You're not losing it. No,
okay.
It sounds awesome, man. Like that, and that's exactly what a lot of people are doing with NFTs.
Sounds like I want one of those jackets.
Dude,
sure. I was just searching for the jacket because I saw music, art, fashion on Talks.
Yep.
I was like, "Where's a picture of the jacket, man? I'm gonna bring that up."
I know.
I was just telling these guys I got a trench coat in my room, a military trench coat that's got probably 100 different patches on it. That man, I was looking at some of your pictures, man. It looks like we would get along great.
For sure, dude. And yes, dude. And so the jackets, I couldn't take any pictures of them. He was buying them exclusively. Like you only could get them through that, the NFT, whatever, the metaverse, or I don't know.
What was the
this dude understands it way more.
Do you remember the name of the collection? We might be able to find it.
The company was called Level. That was like the label, LEV, and then a backwards E was the 3L, and leather punk rock jacket maybe, or hoodie. Do hoodie, because we made more hoodies. And then basically he would sell like, you know, basically $5,000. You get an NFT, but then you get this jacket. And then it's like, you know, they had the whole thing set up, and then the guy that was behind it, he ended up was the one that passed away, and was super, super unfortunate, because they really had a good thing going. I don't know nothing about technology, but I can make you clothes. I can make you a rat rod bike, a Mad Max car out of trash. But like trying to log on to this show took me 45 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to do computers, but I will build you a car out of garbage that we can ride across country. Like, no lie.
You know, Talks. I used to make clothes too. And when I think about music, also, because you know, how do artists make money? How do they? Yeah,
Yes.
I was at South by whenever we were looking at the future and seeing Spotify coming, and we knew that the gatekeeping that Spotify had become with the music label
Yep.
industry, like that mode was dying, and everybody thought that Spotify was going to be the future. But now it's there's still problems, and when I think about it, I think like how do we like both limit and monetize access to you, you know, to you
Yes.
and the band,
Yep.
and that you make something physical that can also be a ticket or a signal to other people that they did more than log on to Ticketmaster.com and
Yes.
spend $50 to show up some night.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't. We don't need to go like into the tech weeds, but I think that we're gradually getting closer and closer to the answer, to where you have NFTs that serve as receipts that you bought these things, and
Yeah.
something that you can, you know, verify the history, the provenance. So it's not a ripoff.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. You get a
and
physical jacket or something so sick, one of one, dude. You know?
I got
absolutely.
a buddy of mine that still lives in the Minneapolis area, and he still goes to a lot of these rock shows and events that they have over there. And he does nothing with NFTs, but sometimes I talk to him, and he'll talk to me, be like, "Man, I got 10 NFTs I have nothing to do with. I have no idea what
Wow.
they are, but I
Yep.
got them for visiting the show."
Wow. Wow. That's super rad. And I had friends that were, you know, heavy into it, and my brain just can't wrap around how that works. I mean, I get it. I understand it, but I was like, it just, you know, everybody's like, you are an NFT. Your words are in it, everything. I'm like, I'm not, I don't know. My mind can't wrap around it.
I think there's a lot of potential there, you know, to drive engagement. I mean, I think one of the things for bands, right? You say it's a business, and I think you got to think about that. Like, if you get above a
Sure.
certain level, like you're just goofing around, like with friends playing music, but like if you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
start getting serious about it, you
Yep.
got to say there's a certain cost of driving around. There's a certain cost of doing the shows. Like, we got to make a certain
100%.
amount of money. We got to live. We got to eat. So
100%.
I think there's potential here, and I don't think it's fully been tapped into, about allowing blockchain to do engagement with fans and really to drive like that direct connection, because a
Yeah.
lot of what happens in this life is driven through platforms, right? And you have
Mhm.
a gated experience, because you know Spotify, they're the ones that have the audience, and then you're sort of just barely getting that audience because you don't know who they are. Like, you're getting these plays and you're getting some pittance of money from like Spotify, but you're
Yep.
not directly connected and saying, hey fans, you know, this is what's going on. Hey fans, you know, this is
Mhm.
how you can connect with the band. So there's like always been this separation between you being able to get closer to the band, and the band, I think, wants to be closer to their audience. So I think as crypto starts to mature and allows for more direct engagement, you're going to start seeing this start to come about. And I think it really started with NFTs, because you had artists that were just putting this thing out, and it was putting it directly into the hands of the people who are fans, and the fans saying, I want to make sure that this band continues to exist. And it's that whole patronage model. You know, it's like, this is how you can say, I want to support the band either by buying their shirt, buying their album, listening to their music, whatever. But like, I recognize that if this band doesn't eat, I'm not going to get another album. Like,
Yeah.
so I think it's a cool way to do that.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. If that could work somehow, and we were trying it, dude, we were right there. You know, we're making these like oh shit, did I lose you on my back?
Nope, you're here. We didn't lose you.
Okay. All right, okay. So yeah, you're making these like one of one, like super sick outfits, dude. Like that's the thing with the stuff that I make, like the jackets. I don't know. I just, it's nothing new, dude. It's like Crust Punk's been doing it forever. I just kind of put my own spin on it, right? Because I see a lot of people like, hi, I like your clothes. I used to make stuff like that in the 80s. I'm like, well, just like this or kind of like this? Because I'm like, I go real deep with some of the stuff. And like we're out in LA, we're going to all these high end parties, and I'm just wearing my normal stuff with my hair up. And you can imagine, like, I walk in there and everybody wants to talk. I'm meeting everybody. It's like I showed up at Art Basel in Miami, and there was supposed to be a celebrity designer. And so all these people are walking around waiting for this celebrity designer, and nobody knows who he is. And me and my manager go in there, my old manager, and I walk in just in that picture that you have up on the screen. That was in Art Basel, Miami, with the palm trees. He took that at the hotel on our way there. He had told me 24 hours prior, dude, make something fresh. Get on a flight tomorrow. I'll meet you in Miami. And I made that whole outfit, even the shoes and the jacket, in 24 hours.
That's awesome, man.
And I flew down there,
cool.
dude, and we rented a car and we pulled up and we walked into this thing, and everybody came up to me and they're like taking photos and the press and all that. I looked at my buddy and my manager, and he's in the suit and tie, and I'm looking like that. He's like, just go with it, bro. He goes, the celebrity guy didn't show up. They all think it's you. Just go with it, dude. Just plug all your shit. I'm like, okay.
I'm the celebrity guy. Like, here I am.
And nobody knew the difference. They're like looking at my outfits, and they're just like, oh my God. Like all these like, really, darling, I paid $1 million for that painting. Like them, they're looking at my outfit, and they're like gasping, and they're like, who does your work? I'm like, dude, I made all this.
And you're like, I'll sell you this jacket off my back for $1 million.
Oh my God, hell yes. I made it in less than a day with shit from the thrift store for under $10.
Yeah, it's yours, $1 million.
Yes, dude, please.
Today's price only.
Yes, a special today only. For the low price of $1 million.
That's right.
Yeah, dude. So I got off topic, but yeah, dude. So like the designs, people say, hey, thrift store chic. Like, what's your style? And basically, mine is coming up like it's a punk rock kid from the res. So there's gutter punks, cross punks, hardcore punks, all this stuff.
So do you ever pop over to Axeman? Does that ever make?
Oh yeah, all the time. I got so many axes from spending over $100. They give you a little keychain.
So this place, for those who've never been in the Twin Cities area, we have one of the wildest stores of all time. It's called Axeman, and it's like used by all the artists and like crazy designer creators, makers in town. It has just bizarre stuff. Like you can go in there and there will be a bin full of like servo motors, and next to it is a bin full of random metal parts and
porcelain baby doll heads and
just anything, man. It's the wildest stuff. And so if you're trying to make a movie or if you're trying to make cool fashion, like you pop into Axeman, that's where you can go to just get the coolest stuff.
Yeah, dude, Axeman's wild. Like for things like that. I make a lot of stuff, a lot of electrical stuff. Dude, I get all my connectors there, my butt connectors and like all that stuff. It's like $4.99 for a bag of a massive thing of like connectors, which would be a third of that bag is $20 at like any Home Depot or something.
Yeah, so this store is just absolute treasure for the the local creator community. And the thing about Minneapolis too is it's so cold for a big chunk of the year, or at least has been years past. We'll see if that continues. But like usually it got so cold that like everybody just had to go inside. And then that was the explosion of creation, But by the time summer comes around, it's like everybody just wants to stay up all night because it's light out until 10 p.m. So in the summer, everybody's just partying hard, but then in the winter, everybody's creating, just like going to Axeman, like writing songs, like doing whatever. So you go into the cave in this part of the world when the sun goes down at 3:30 in the afternoon. And it's dark out, man.
Yes, dude. And that's exactly it. We always say hibernation mode, and we go into hibernate, we create all winter, and then we, emerge next spring with all new stuff and songs, and we shoot video. And I got my studio, my practice space here is pretty impressive, So other bands will like rent out my practice space for the day and like shoot videos and do stuff like that, So, but I got kind of this area with no windows and no clocks, so you have no idea of what time it is or what time of day it is or how cold or warm it is outside. You just go in that
Did
room.
you ever make it down to the Mayday Festival when they used to do that? The Heart of the Beast Puppet Theater, and those guys that did the big fire parade, like the
I don't
dudes
know.
that.
I've been to one where they had a bunch of puppets and stuff, like in like a park.
Yeah,
Is that
I think it
it?
was. Yeah, I think it was over by Nokomis, and like
Yeah, 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 yeah,
part of the
yeah,
parade
yeah.
that would
I didn't
come
know what it was
through.
called. I just ended up there. Yeah.
Yeah, but they would have like this one crew that would come out and they did all the big bikes. They were riding on like the 10 and 12-foot tall bikes, and then they
I
built
build
this
tall
huge,
bikes. Yeah.
yeah, and then they built like this huge metal cage, and they would ride around in the middle of this metal cage that they'd light on fire. It was
Sweet.
awesome, man. That parade used to be so cool. They don't do it anymore, but like in
Damn.
times
And
past, it was wild.
I do the fire sticks too, where they're from the Renaissance Festival. You've seen the ones, the crystal sticks, where you flip them back and forth.
Yeah, yeah.
So I took the ends off and I replaced them with like a flammable, anti-flammable material. I dip them in kerosene and then I juggle them sticks, and I can stand on rollabola with like a board on a 55-gallon drum. I jump up from a vertical standing and you're like on a barrel balancing, juggling the fire sticks. Like I was like in a little carny show for a while too. So like
Does
I
that
ride.
ever make it into a Blue Felix show where you are juggling fire or doing anything like
No,
that?
I'd love to though. It actually, like at festivals, I would play a show and then I'll come out later, like in the grass, like at like a festival, and I'll be like doing it in the corner because obviously, I do drop it once in a while, and if it's outside, or inside, it could be hazardous. But yeah, I ride unicycle, all that kind of stuff. I build the tall bikes, the really really tall ones, and so yeah, definitely like a life carny artist, fabricator lifer, dude. That's like completely me, like people like Jake of all trades. My first name is Jake. So
it's tall bikes I'm obsessed with. When I first moved to Austin, there was a large community. Is that something in Minneapolis?
Yep.
It's huge in Minneapolis.
Yep, I forget what they're called. There's a name for the dudes, and they got like I don't want to say a gang, but they got like a club. There's a club of the tall biker guys, and they're everywhere.
There's a lot of gangs and clubs and stuff like that, like maker communities and like artist communities. It's like if you've never really been to the scene, like you can come to Minneapolis and you can visit here, but like to penetrate the scene here, it takes a little bit of doing and you have to know some people. But if you can get into like the crazy stuff that people do here, it's wild. Like there are so many makers, creators, welders,
Yep.
like metal fabricators. It's a
Yep.
really cool.
Like I say,
place.
my old guitar player, Chris, he's one of the top glass blowers in the state. All the hideaways, everything carry all of his work. It's all his big, crazy, color changing marble pieces that look like the mushrooms growing warts. Like he does all that glass blowing. So like glass blowers and like, yes, makers, dude. Literally.
I think these guys are some of the ones that I've heard. The Black Label Bike Club. So it's like the
That's
Hard
what I'm talking
Times
about.
Bike
I was
Club
gonna say
in
black
Minneapolis.
something.
Yeah,
Black
I think
something.
it's these guys. So like they do the Victorian used tall bikes and lamplighters and stuff. So like this is not a good picture of them doing it because this looks like all like shorty bikes, but like they got like the 10-foot tall bikes. They don't even have any pictures of it, but yeah, it's these guys.
Sweet. Yeah, dude, it's a lot of fun. It's I'm an artist, an artist my entire life. So I, my upbringing and my background, so pretty like wild situation of like how I came to be. It was like, I call it the curse of the blessed, so it's like it's really cool. I've had a really incredible life, dude, and I'm just like the situation of as a adopted as a kid, I ended up on the res, so that's it's like the only like white dude on my whole growing up, my family. So the torment I got from the other male peers out there was a lot, and then they embraced me once we got older. But as a young kid, it was definitely tough. Sharpen your teeth like in a situation like that. But then I reconnected with my biological dad as a friend. Like he was just a really good close friend of mine. When I was 18, we started to hang out a lot more, and I got to know him. And he was actually just retired. He was one of the singers of Hairball forever. I don't know if you guys have heard of Hairball at all.
Nope, never heard of Hairball.
Yeah, they're if you Google Hairball picture last night, I mean they're playing to 20,000 15,000. Anyone in the Midwest, it's like if you're, they're an 80s tribute band. They're massive. I mean, the dude, my bio dad just retired, dude, full like 401k, retired on the beach in Florida from a cover band. It's crazy. It's crazy. But so to meet him later in life and be like, oh, dude, like that's where some of this might come from. You know what I mean?
For sure. That's crazy. You were already into music. You were already with Blue Toxsick whenever you met him.
Yes. So Blue Felix actually originated in his basement when I reconnected when I was 18. Yeah, that's Hairball, dude. Look at the crowd. Like there's no joke. And
Okay, so I sometimes I'm furiously doing stuff in the background trying to catch up. Like that's why we like the screen share, because like we can put stuff on the screen. It's like part of what we can do. So your dad is one of the founders of Hairball. Is that
my
what we're-
biological dad is not a founder, but he joined the band in 2010 and just retired last year at 63, and full retirement, full house in Florida, like off of a band.
Nice, man. So I think it does run in the family. Absolutely. Like, there's certain things that sort of propagate through the generations. And, if music is in your blood, it's in your blood, man. It's like you got to do whatever you can to get it out, because if it's there, it's there.
The dude right there, yes, for sure. The dudes you're looking at. So when it pops up, the guy on the left, Brian, I made those pants he's wearing in that photo.
That's awesome.
That one. And then that was Dave Moody with the big hair. He does Twisted Sister. Happy's on the right, and then Billy's on drums. Yeah, they absolutely kill it, dude. They kill it. They were in Duluth last night. There's a lot of flooding going on up there, and the people still showed out. There was like 18,000 tickets sold on an outdoor festival, summer festival in Duluth. These guys are just absolutely massive, dude. It's wild. And so to reconnect with my bio dad,
that's the thing, man. You guys are in a position right now. Like this is the resurgence of rock, just to kind of like cue up another topic here, because I think it's interesting to talk about. The 90s rock is back. Kids today do not want to listen to the, whatever tired ass EDM emo stuff. Like it's almost like rock has certain cycles, like, so the 90s was a cycle, and it was really harkening back to like some of the stuff that was happening in the 70s. People were even saying it when it was happening in the 90s. They're like, this all just sounds like 70s rock. And everybody's like, yeah, we love 70s rock.
Yeah.
And now the kids are like, yeah, we want to sound like 90s bands. We want to sound like Toronto, whatever.
Dude, history repeats itself. And like, 15, 20 years ago, it was the 80s. And now we're sliding back into the 90s. And I'm like, bro, that's me. I was born in 80. So I was 10 in 90, and I turned 20 in 2000. So my entire teens were spent in the 90s. The most incredible time.
Well, wait a minute. If you were that age, did you make it out to the Woodstock 99? I
didn't make it to 99, but
you heard about it though. You heard about it.
Wait. I was at the 99, not the 97, because wasn't there 97?
Woodstock 99 was when, they had to they burned the whole place down because there was no water.
Yes. Yes. I was at, I forget which one of them.
I was at Woodstock 99 when Kid Rock said, hey, throw all the garbage towards the front. And the whole sky got dark because all this garbage was in the air, and then it rained down on everybody.
Yes, because there was a 97 and I missed it because I was still 17, and I was like, I can't go all the way to New York or whatever it was.
Yep.
We got the 99 one, yes. And then Lollapalooza was dope. Dude, and I got a story of a Lollapalooza that people won't even believe. Dude,
all right, tell us the story of Lollapalooza.
Dude, Lollapalooza.
What year was it, though?
2008. If you Google maybe guy with a mohawk 2008 Lollapalooza, something might come up. I don't know. It's hard to find the photos, but so I've been kind of open relationship my whole life, and so I was having 2 girlfriends at the time, and one of my girls went down to Lollapalooza. My other girl, we were up here, and I was like, dude, we should go to Lollapalooza. Last minute, it's in Chicago, Grant Park. And I'm like, damn, we don't have, I look online and there's only Sunday tickets available left. And it's like Friday night. I'm like, fuck, man, how are we going to get it? Whatever. Let's just drive down there and we'll just hang out outside of the fence, and we'll try to get, we'll just listen to music and party and wait for everybody to be done. So we drive all the way down to Chicago, dude. I'm walking along the fence. We're walking for no more than a half an hour. and I hear this woman go, I got my hair up, and this woman's like, I love your hair, baby. And I turn around and I was like, hey, and I started small talking with her. And she goes, are you all going to that concert over there? And I was like, oh, man, I wish. I was like, we don't have any tickets, but I'd love to go in there. She's like, what do you mean you ain't got no tickets? And then she turns around and she goes, hey, baby, give them your pass so they can go in there. And he's like, the dude looked at me. It was his mom and a dude about my age at the time. And he kind of looked at me and he's like, hey, man, like, how much you want to buy this for? And he had and I'm like, is that fake? It had like an artist pass, right? And I was like, he's like, no, it ain't fake. And she's like, shut up and give it to him, like yells at her son. And he's like, oh, damn, all right. He takes it off, he gives it to me. And she's like, have a good time, baby. You guys have a good time. We have to go or we'd be staying. And I was like, ma'am, thank you so much. But like, I can't go in there without my girl. Like, I can't leave her out here. Like, thank you. Like, this is so amazing. But what am I going to do with one pass? And she turns around and the other dude was with, boom, takes his thing off. And they're like, we got to go anyway. And so they quickly jump into like a little town car and boom, they skate away. She's like, have a good time at the concert. I grabbed the necklace, the laminate. She's got the laminate. Now we have two. And I look at him like, is this fucking real? Oh my God. And as I take like 2 steps, the dude goes, dude, you know who the fuck that was? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Some random dude. He goes, fucking Lupe Fiasco and his mom. I was like, what? Nuh-uh, dude. He's like, I swear to God. And I'm like, this gotta be fake, dude. This gotta be fake. So we walk up. There's a giant line to get into Lollapalooza. I walk to the left. I grab my girl. I was like, yo, just act like you own the place and you're pissed off. They won't stop you. Just be pissed and we're in a hurry. We're late. We walk in.
Hold on. That's always how you got to do it. Like what you have to do is walk with authority, walk like you're late to something, flash whatever it is that you got to do. Yep. And you're just like,
ain't got time for nothing.
I don't have time for this shit. You got to walk with authority. And it's the same way if you're walking in like a really sketchy neighborhood, it's like if I grew up in a really sketchy neighborhood. So it's like if you walk like you don't belong there, then you're prey. But if you walk like you got somewhere to be, everybody's like, oh shit, I don't know what he's doing, but I don't want to get in his way.
Yep. And I walk up to the gate like, dude, I don't want to be here. I'm fucking working. Like, what am I like? Oh, I just walk up and I'm talking to her and I'm like, I'm just pretending I'm yelling at you right now. Just, and I'm just saying that. And as I walk up, I just hold the laminate up to security guard. Dude fucking separates the fence. We walk through without even breaking stride. And he shuts the gate behind us. We're inside. I look at her and she's like, how do you're a fucking like, because so many things in my life had happened.
She's like, did that just happen? How did we just get into
and the thing is shit like that has happened to me so many times. Like her mom used to say, you're like a Jedi or something. And I've never even seen Star Wars, but she'd always be like, you're like a Jedi. I'm like, I don't know, just walk like I'm pissed off. It's either that or carry a ladder. Yeah, in a reflective thing. You'll always go in anywhere.
The tattoos too, man. It's got to be almost like a Jedi mind trick because somebody sees you and you're like, oh man, this dude is so inked. Like, I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. But
and they're like, he's got to be, and I got my mohawk up. And so it was Lollapalooza 2008. I walked in there. We had the Lupe Fiasco all access passes on. As I walk in, I round the corner. And if you Google it, 2 headliners. One night was Kanye. The other night was Rage Against the Machine. I walk in, I hear doom, 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 boom, 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 Killing in the Name of just starting as we walk in. I'm like, no way. We run down, dude. Yeah, dude, Rage Against the Machine, Lollapalooza, 2008.
I love that
I'm scrolling down to Rage Against
the Machine. Dude. And so we walk in. It took us about 30 minutes to get through the side of that crowd. It was a sea. It was a sea, dude. And we got all the way down. And I finally got to where they was getting to like backstage. And I'm holding her hand, dragging her. She's like, we can't go in there. Stop. Are you sure? I was like, yo, just follow me. Come on, just walk. And I hold up the thing. Boom, they let us in. I make it up the steps. I'm no shit, standing on the steps, side stage, Rage Against the Machine, last 3 songs that are set, looking off the crowd of Grant Park. I don't know how many thousand people in attendance, 50, 60, looking at the skyline. And above the skyline of Chicago, so many people. In the cool of the night, their body heat is like a fog because there's so much body heat. It's like a mist over the whole skyline of Chicago. And I look over at her and we are on the fucking stage with Rage Against the Machine on the side, back by like all the families and shit are standing.
And it all starts from just being humble, being nice to anybody that you talk to on the street. Because like
sure.
just imagine like if you had not been nice to those people, that never
Yes.
would have happened. So it's like you just gotta never know who you're gonna meet. You never know
You never
what's
do.
gonna happen.
And she commented on my mohawk, or they wouldn't even have talked to me.
Yep. That's an awesome story, man. I've been to Grant Park. So Lucas and I actually had a connection through Pitchfork. So I used to be in Grant Park all the time because I freaking loved Pitchfork. I loved how they reviewed music, you know, and like what they selected and their taste. You know, like you got to have good taste in this life. So I used to go to the festival in Grant Park. Like, yes, it was just a sea of people, just like 100,000 people there. It was so wild, so awesome to be in that energy.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Stories like that, and it's I could go all day with stuff like that. This happened to me all over the world. Like I've traveled so many places, and dude, I've been so like blessed in that regard. And it's like, yes, it takes a lot of money to like blow up. I wasn't ever like, I mean, I was broke for sure. I've been broke, but I've always had someone near me or a family member that was willing to like help out with a decent chunk enough to do whatever that like goal on the horizon was, you know? So I would like do that. And then it got to the point where the family's like, you've been saying this is the year you're going to blow up for the last 20 years. We can't do it anymore. I'm like, you can't have $30,000. No. I'm like, dude, it got me like right to the finish line and then it ran out and then it sucked me back. I was like, if I could just get enough to get over the hump, it was just never more than like 20 grand. And that's, your fuel is 10 grand on a real tour and your food. It's like, that's just the expense. I got it just a little bit more. You know what I mean? It's just not enough. And that's even a lot of money. Like who's got 20, 30 grand to just go blow at any given point on fuel in that shit? You know what I mean? It's hard as hell.
And so that's why I'm trying to like put that into perspective for like, the whole crypto thing, man. So like a few years ago, right? Crypto and Bitcoin were at, I don't know, 25, 30 bucks, $100, right? So some people picked up a few. Now when that thing's trading at 50,000, I mean, think about what you're talking about for costs, right? We're talking about like 0.1 Bitcoin,
That's what
like,
I'm saying. Dude. So the guy that made the video, Perfect Servant, John Wheeler, my old bass player, one of my best friends on this earth, he was very techie. He was in a band called Screaming Mechanical Brain. And they used to be Screaming Monkey Boner. And they changed the name because, that was hard to get shows with Screaming Monkey Boner, and SMB was on all their shit. So they're like Screaming Mechanical Brain. And they would go out with Mindless Self-Indulgence. And, they had a huge following when Hot Topic was cool. They back in like 2003, they were huge. Biggest, one of the, outside of American Head Charge, one of the biggest Minneapolis bands there was, Screaming Monkey Boner. And he had done some artwork for a guy or recorded a song or did something, and the guy wouldn't pay him, and he gave him a Bitcoin. He's like, here, man. He's like, what, dude, the fuck is this? Like, I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like, so he held on to it all these years, and he actually lives right now to this day in Minneapolis with a house that he put over like 3/4 down on that one Bitcoin. Like he lives physically in that house as we speak from that transaction. 2000 and whatever the hell it was, 5, 6, I don't even remember,
That's awesome.
And I'm always like, really, dude? Like, no way that works. He's like, dude, I swear to God. I'm like, no way. Like, how? I don't get it. I don't understand it. And so the other story I was going to tell you about I don't even know if we want to Google this because I don't want to give this dude any publicity, but maybe they could look at it and know that he's a huge piece of shit. But if you Google Christopher McGuire, Florida Ponzi schemer, this dude back in the day was, before he went to prison and before he robbed my entire family and took almost 20 some odd $1 million from everybody, he was always yelling Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. And I'm like, dude, my joke was, I can't snort a line with a Bitcoin. I want to roll it up. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't even know what that is. Back when they were like, he's like, dude, they're like $5 and it's like this online currency. And this was like 2009 or 10, maybe. No. It had to been like 10 or 11. And he was like, dude, I literally get them for like $50 a pop. He's like, I got like 150 of them. I'm like, yeah, for what though? Like, it's like a fucking Pog online. Remember Pogs? In my mind, I'm thinking it's like a game, And so this dude, If you were to Google him, it'll show first thing, boom, Florida Ponzi schemer. Yep.
I
There
think
he
I
is.
found it. This is the guy.
Yep. Christopher McGuire. He lived in Dr. Phillips. Yep. Florida, Orlando. And all the tattoos in his mugshot, I fucking got him. If you go Christopher McGuire, yep. I still get letters from the FBI recognized as a victim and shit from him. But he was quote unquote my best friend, and he's like, I'm going to make your band huge. I got all this money. But really, he was like a Ponzi schemer, dude. So, but he was the one that always used to say Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. So he did his 10 years in prison. And he got out in last year. And they got all that money from him. And then he got out of prison, but nobody ever knew he still has those 150 Bitcoins.
Well, that's worth a lot these days.
So it's like he
Forced
really pulled the
total.
wool.
Forced total is what they call that. You go to jail for 10 years. It's the same thing that happened with Mount Gox, which was a big crypto exchange that got got hacked or whatever, and then went offline. And a lot of people who lost their funds or whatever, now they're ostensibly going to get them back in the coming days. Like that's what's been said, but it forced people to hold coins that they probably wouldn't have held. And so now, instead of it being worth a couple $100, now it's worth a couple million. So yeah, Christopher McGuire has been forced to hold because he's in jail.
Yep. And he got out, and they, obviously they seized everything he had, and they did all that. They, they stripped him to nothing. And then he went and he did it. I think he got out on 8 years or 6 years of good behavior. So now he gets out. And the one thing they probably never knew was the Bitcoin thing.
Well,
I don't know.
That is one of the things about Bitcoin. If they don't know your words, they can't take it from you. Not saying that they might not still come for it. Who knows? Now,
Yeah.
maybe
But last I heard, he as soon as he got out, I got a letter, and then a buddy he was involved with died. Another kid named Jason out of Boston. But I heard he moved to Turks and Caicos, and that's the last anybody ever heard of him. He moved out of the country and probably cashed in his Bitcoins and, traded 8 years of his life for whatever, couple $1 million, and he lives on a beach somewhere.
Well, hey, Toxsick, this has been an awesome appearance. Loved having you on here.
For sure, dude.
Rusty, do you guys got any last minute things that you want to do before we wrap this one up?
I mean, I want to hear the story about what happened with in Florida in 2010 with the Bitcoin Ponzi schemer, but maybe.
Hey, let's grab it quick. Let's do it. Whatever else. So let's talk about that, and then we'll call that a wrap.
Okay. So that and it's sometimes I hesitate because I don't know if I want to give this guy any of the credit or the whatever, but it's just the credit that he's getting is he's a scumbag. You know what I mean? So I met this dude when I went to MMI. Try it in a nutshell. I met him when I went to MMI in 2002, Harley Davidson school. He was another kid in my group, and he was from East Coast, Massachusetts. And I never really was friends with him in school, but his roommate went on to be one of my best friends, one of the top nitro Harley drag racers in the whole United States right now, Michael Balch. And he lived with him in the student housing. And he'd call, hey, roommate. But they told me at the time, Chris McGuire, his dad was a cop. And back then I'm like, damn, your dad's a cop. I'm not hanging out. I don't want nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? So later in life, we all graduate, we move away. I get an email or a MySpace or some silly shit from this kid. He goes, hey, dude, remember me? I was like, yeah. He goes, dude, I'm doing so much cool shit these days. I'm like, you still doing motorcycles? Nah, man. Nah, dude, I got real money now. I can't even explain it. Let me just show you. What's your email? I tell him my email, my information. Boom, sends me a full on, get on an airplane, pays my ticket, the whole thing. Okay. I jump on a flight. I go down there. Kid picks me up in a yellow Ferrari. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And he's like, oh, bro, I got this, and I'm part of a $1 billion hedge fund, and I buy debt insurance policies, on the dollar from Tokyo, and I have an MT 700 block. I don't even know what that means, but he's very impressive with all of his words. You know what I mean? So I go down there, and he just shows me the time of my life. I can never take that away, because some of the stuff that we did, literally unbelievable. I thought it was his money, but he's literally blowing 50 grand a night, a weekend with this dude. And it's half of the stories I would tell people And today on Things That Never Happened, I'm like, dude, you can't even make this shit up. Like some of the shit I went through with this dude in the 4 years I hung out with him, I was flying to Florida probably once a month, if not twice a month. But what he was doing was grooming me because he knew my family and my background. But he was playing, but we actually had deep conversation, like where he's drunk and we're like, I thought the kid was my best friend, and I thought he was a super millionaire that was going to help me get the funding to turn Blue Felix into something that that's my baby. That's my life. My whole life is Blue Felix. Like everything I've ever known in my adult life is that. And it's like, I wanted to make it work so bad, dude. You know what I mean? So I'll do whatever it takes. So I'm meeting this kid, and oh my God, just to save time, some of the stories, like this kid had Ferraris and Porsches. He lived in a gated community that was right down from Shaq, and Shaq had a big Superman on his dock because for whatever reason he's in Florida, and Tony Dungy and like all these guys, like these big sports guys and whatever. And Chris had all these water toys, and he lived on whatever lake Bird Island is on, and because we'd always go to Bird Island because we always say, let's go to Bird Flu Island, and we'd like fly out there in these boats, and he had all these badass boats and spending all this money, and we're going to these strip clubs, and he's making it where the manager comes over the ATM and he's like, Mr. McGuire, it's emptied, and they'd have to run across the street to the cabaret because we're at Baby Dolls, and he'd empty both ATMs on the premises. We throw it all on the floor, and we're just wildly drinking and partying and leave it, dude. It's unbelievable. You go down to Tampa to the Hard Rock, and the dude's got $100,000 in cash and blow it all in a few bets in blackjack and not even know what he's doing and not care and leave. I'm like, God damn, dude, how are you doing this? And so it's just every single night was just a party he had a pool, and he'd have all these girls all the time, like beautiful, like Maxim model girls. And they're looking at me like he looks like a, Abercrombie and Fitch model. And I look like me, you know what I mean? So people look at me like, how did that dude get in here? Like, how are you here? Some of these females like would never speak to somebody like me. But then by the time I'm hanging out with them, we got 3, 4, or 5 of them in the back room. They're like, oh my God, I would have never, you know what I'm saying? But awesome times, awesome times. And he started off by saying, hey, dude, I know you want in on this, but like, I don't have any real money. He's like, I don't deal with anybody without $100,000. That's like your entry level. And I'm like, well, I got jokes all day. Yeah, I'm like, what do you want me to do?
Like, I don't have $100,000, but I can do this fire routine.
You want to see me balance on a barrel and juggle and unicycle and bear on a motorcycle? Ding, 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 ding. I can jump off the house and land in your pool. I don't know. What do you want me to do? And so he's like, look, man, like you're my bro. I'm gonna do you a little favor. He's like, can you get $2,500? I'm like, maybe. I was like, let me see. So I went home. I got like 3 different bank accounts, and I dumped out my Culligan bottle of water with all the change. And I'm like, dude, I got $24.99 or something stupid. And I gave him the $2,400. I sent it, and my heart's just racing, because I'm like, oh my god, 2,400, whatever, 2,500. And like, not even a week later, boom, he's like, yo, check your Wells Fargo, $5,000. I was like, dude, you gotta be shitting me. He's like, no, I'm telling you, bro, like it's on, like whatever you want to do. I'm like, okay. He's like, send the 5 back and I'll flip it. And I'm like, dude, okay. Cause obviously anybody wants more money. I should have been like, no, I'll keep the 5. See you later. So I sent the 5 back. He did the same thing with 10. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like, this could be like a real thing. So then I fly down there, we party, and every night we party. It was like, dude, there's a place called in Orlando called Rocco's Tacos. And it's like the hot spot where all like the Orlando Magic hang out and all those, who's who hang out. And so we'd be going in there with this dude, and I'm in there looking the way I look, mohawk up, dressed to the nines, the whole thing. And he goes in there and he's just throwing money, like money. And I'm like, I'm picking it up. He's like, dude, don't fucking pick that shit up. I'm like, dude, there's hundreds on the floor. He's like, don't pick that shit up. He's like, you have no idea. You look like a bootlicker. I'm like, a bootlicker? I don't give a fuck, dude. Shit, look at me. I'm a fucking punk rocker, dude. He's like, do not pick it up. And you never finish your drink. Never. He goes, that's sucker shit. You take like 2 sips and leave it and get a new one. I'm like, okay, sorry, dude. You know what I mean? So it was like, that was his like lifestyle, or at least that he like fake portrayed, you know what I mean? So time goes on, about a year goes by, a year and a half, maybe 2 years tops of like little increments, 5 grand, 10 grand, stuff like that. And then I did a 50,000. I went to some family members, my dad, and I was like, hey dad, listen, like I've been going down to Florida. I got this dude. I showed him all these pictures, and my dad's like, you know, wise old native man looking at me like, white devil. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't know, son, but if you wanna risk it, let's go. We go over to the bank, boom, transfer 50 grand over. And then the lady at the bank is like, I'm going to let you hit the button because as soon as you wire this, like, that's you. So she turns the screen around, gives me the thing, and boom, I click. I looked at my account and said, like, $50,400. I was like, oh my God, for like 5 minutes, and then click the button. I'm like, $450. I'm like, shit. You know, it was cool to look at for like 2 seconds. So I send it down, and then immediately my stomach is like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you know? But he ended up in like $1,000 and $2,000 increments, sent it all back over like the next 6 months. So I got all the money back and I gave it all back to my dad. I was like, I told you it worked. I told you. And now I'm like, all right, dude. So now what? He goes, well, now you have 50,000 in the credit. Like I owe you 50 grand now. That was the profit from the last 50. And I'm like, to the moon, dude. I'm like, no fucking way. I'm like already walking with extra pep in my step. Like, oh shit, dude, it's on for those minutes. I was like, it is on. I borrowed 50, gave it back, and now I got 50 credit, and he's gonna do the same thing, but it's gonna be 100 now. And I'm like, dude, this is it. This is it. You know, I'm crying, hugging the band, like, we're doing it. We're doing it. And they're like, I don't know, man, this sounds bad. And John Wheeler, the Scram Mechanical Brain dude, he's like, I don't know. He's the only other dude in the band like my age, like old enough to be like, you know, because I don't have any brains. He's like the wise one. I'm wise in a different way. But he's like, no, dude, I don't know. I'm like, no, dude, because I'm just too trusting is what the problem. Like I trust people. People say respect is earned, and I don't think so. I think disrespect is earned. I give everybody respect until you earn the disrespect. So the dude, like, time goes on, a couple more months, and I'm like, okay, dude, when are we paying out? Like, send me something. But now he's not sending anything. He's like, no, listen, dude, like I got a big thing coming up, and we're gonna flip it. So just I put it into the next deal. Don't worry about it. And now months and months have gone by since I got my 50 back, but I have this imaginary 50 in his credit. So he calls me one day. He's like, dude, I had a whole bunch of bad shit happen, dude. My girlfriend did this, and her dad said that I stole money from him, so they locked all my accounts. He's like, I need you to fly down here, bro, and I'll have my driver pick you up. I'm like, okay. I fly down to Florida, and I'm like, I wonder where this dude is, and I text him, and he's like, all right, my driver should be there. Look for him. His name is this or whatever. I'm like, okay. Uber pulls up. I'm like, hey. He's like, I'm like, no, I you're not my ride. I'm waiting for, you know. He's like, oh, my name is so-and-so, whatever it was. I'm like, oh, well, maybe this is his driver, the Uber. He sent the Uber, said it was his personal driver. So I get in there. I'm like, whatever. It's kind of sketchy. And I drive to this place, and he's at a buddy's house on an air mattress. I'm like, what happened to the, what dude, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm not sleeping at some random dude's apartment on an air mattress with you. I will get a hotel. So I rented a hotel on the beach. The fucking thing was like $500. But I'm like, we're not going to fucking, we're in, starts with a D, Lake, not Daytona, Deltona. I'm like, I'm not going to, whatever. He's like, dude, listen, all my shit. He gave me this big old sob story. And he was like, and it sucks because they did it right before the biggest deal I've ever had in my life, dude. He's like, it just sucks that my girl's dad, this and that. He goes,
So this is where he's about to set the hook. Yeah.
This is the hook set. And I'm like sad. I'm staying at the hotel with him. And he's like on his knees, sobbing, grown man sobbing. And I'm like, Chris, if you are fucking bullshitting me, he's like, dude, never. You're my best friend. I mean, dude, this guy is Academy Award material. Like, I thought this dude was my best friend for a couple of years. And this is where he's really setting it in. So basically, I paid for that entire week down there for him to stay in this hotel and to go out. And we're not throwing no money. We're going to, like, you know, Buffalo Wild Wings. And he's like, well, dude, just cover me. And then after this deal goes through, I got you. He's like, I'm telling you, everything's frozen right now, dude. And I'm like, okay, I'm believing him still. It was never his girl's dad. I don't think. It was literally when he was like under investigation and everything was locked. I don't know. I never knew. And I'm from, if you're from Minnesota, I grew up Mystic Lake. That's my family.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
If you guys, Mystic Lake Casino in Shakopee.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I grew up there. So if you know anything about Mystic, my family members are not broke. I'm not a quarter blood, so I don't get the royalties of that. But I get a lot of, benefits.
Right. Like, so if anybody's not familiar, like the tribes have a blood requirement. You got to be a certain percentage. And if you are, then you get a part of the money that comes from the casino. Right.
Yep. Which is pretty jaw dropping monthly. So he knows that. And he knows that if he could tap into that, there's potential. Probably more than any of the guys he's ever even dealt with.
Yeah, he's salivating at the Mystic Lake connection and the money, the tribal connection. Yeah.
Yes. And a lot of my family members, they help me, but they're very frugal because they're so used to everybody and their mom begging all the time. It's like literally more money, more problems. When you have money, you got everybody, I'm going to kill myself if you don't pay my cell phone. Like, grandma, why are you talking like this? Like, stop, you know what I'm saying? Buy me a car or this, or do that, and then it's like, hey, pay for my bandage, shut up. Like, no, I'm telling you, like, this one's at least cool. Like, you can come to the show, and they're like, damn, cuz, like, I can go with you. And I'm like, hell yeah, dude. If you help us do this, this, and this, dude, you're coming with, of course, dude. And when we blow up, of course. And I would have 100%, but it was just always almost, So Chris is trying to tap into this. He sits me down in the hotel. He's like, look, I got the biggest one ever. I need 115K, but it's in Europe. So I need 115 or 117.5 with the exchange rate because the euro's a little more or whatever. Like, he was convincing. He had it down to like the euros and the whole thing. And he was like, you're going to be in this group. He goes, if I didn't have my accounts locked, I wouldn't even have told you about this. He goes, because you can get in at 117 and it's going to pay out millions. He goes, if I had my own 117 right now, I wouldn't even be fucking telling you this, bro. But I'm in a pinch and I can't get a hold of my stuff. So if you can do the 117, I'll just split the millions with you this one time.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, oh, dude, oh God. So, I was like, okay. So I made 3 phone calls and he said, not only that, but I will drive home with you and live in Minnesota in your house until the money comes. I'm like, okay, so you're going to live in my house with me in rural Minnesota until the money comes. So I don't have to call you or get blocked, or you live with me. So I can check with you every day when we wake up. I'm like, okay. Made 3 phone calls. Within 2 hours, $117,000 sent. And he's like, bet, dude, you did it, bro. You saved us the whole thing. And my stomach's already. So I rented a car. I had a flight to go home because I flew down there, remember, to his driver.
Yeah.
I skipped my flight, rented a car, and drove it back to Minnesota with him in it.
Okay, man. So how does this unwind then?
Yes, so I'm sorry.
Captive. He's essentially allowed you to kidnap.
Yes, dude. So basically he comes back. He lives with me. About 2 months goes by. He's like, I got to go to meetings, bro. I need clothes. I don't have clothes. You want me to get money? I got to look like I got money. I brought him to the fucking Mall of America, and a dude put 12 grand on my credit card on top of all that for suits and shit so he could look cool and go to meetings. Yada, yada, yada. I come home one day. I had something go on. I came home and that fucking room was completely empty, and he skated and he even took all my guns.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
There it was.
Took all my guns, took everything. Never again, until about a year later, he calls me. And I was like, I was pissed. Obviously, I was at my girlfriend's at the time making Christmas cookies with the whole family. And his call comes in. I'm like, I got to take this one. I go downstairs and I'm trying not to yell because the family's upstairs. And I'm like, dude, you motherfucker. He's like,
I will. Your first words out of your mouth is, I will fucking kill you.
Yes. Because some of my cousins are like, hey, man, like, we love you, but like, they're tied into some grimy motherfuckers. Like you don't, when you got money like that, you got other people that will do some crazy shit for a little bit of money. And I'm like, I don't want that beef. I don't want that smoke. I don't want that. So I'm like, Chris, listen, dude, you have caused me. He goes, shut up. I don't want to fucking hear it. I ain't got time. Just listen. I'm sorry if your family's still butthurt over what happened. I was like, butthurt? I was like, butthurt's not getting invited to the party. This is different. This isn't butthurt. We're like encroaching like a different category. He's like, well, fuck it. Anyway, I got court in 2 days and I'm going to be fucking exonerated and everybody's going to see. And I was still trying to be cool because I thought if I was just cool and stayed believing, he might just give me that money back. And he's like, because I'm going to get, after my day in court, I'm going to sue everybody that even talks shit, slander and all this other shit and defamation of character. I'm like, okay. And I was like, but dude, listen, do you realize that, like, he goes, you need to realize something, bro. Life is more than just casinos and rainbows. I was like, dude, hold up a second. Like, don't. And I was like, listen, I got some pretty heavy dudes that like want to fuck me up. My cousins are, he goes, shut up, bro. Your cousins ain't shit. I don't have any arrows in my back yet. I was like, oh, this motherfucker, dude. He's still dropping the racial fucking stereotype slurs. And I'm like, dude, but I'm biting my tongue. And then 2 days came. He never answered again. Somebody sent me the screenshot online of that mugshot and sentenced to 10 years. And then I got a letter in the mail and it had the green police badge on it, the Florida, Dade County, whatever. I was like, oh shit, cop mail. I don't like this. And it was the full FBI saying I was recognized as a victim. The 117 was definitely gone. And that was it. And in 8 years, his restitution, I've gotten $86 back. So in 8 years, we're on our way to 117.
Oh my God.
At least he's chipping away at it.
Yeah. $80 in 8 years, dude. 117 grand. Like, you know, when I'm about 640,000 years old, like 700 years old, I'll finally maybe get it. But anyway, that's that story, dude. But that's my experience with that dude all the time was, dude, Bitcoin, crypto's the way to go. Bitcoin, you know? So for a long time, I associated crypto with Ponzi schemes, you know, because that was my experience.
Yeah, and there it's too bad. There was the early days. That's what it gravitated towards. But you know, we hopefully the world's grown up a bit. But
yeah,
man, what a story.
Yeah,
we're all just
wild.
listening here, like rapt attention. That was a great story.
No, and I appreciate it, man. I know I ramble a lot. I was trying to bullet point it, but I like to paint a picture like you're actually there. You know what I mean? Like
that was a beautiful picture. My God, I was
awesome.
I was leaned back in my chair, just
awesome.
Just it with you.
Sweet, man. I love that. And I've been blessed with everybody tells me I'm blessed. You can tell a story. You tell a story. Some of your stories and your wording and my poem and my lyrics and comes back to my music. And it's just, I love to paint a picture. And I think it's, I'm pretty on the spectrum a little bit, but I'm normal passing really well. So I got a half brother that is the opposite, a full flapper, doop, 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 you know what I'm saying, on my biological side. But I think that's where they always say, artistic is only one letter away from autistic, the RU. Are you artistic? Twist those letters around. I'm like, well, I had like the gift of gab though. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Anyway, dude, that's my life. I got stories for days. Anytime you want to do this, I super appreciate you having me. I mean, to ramble and, but life's crazy, dude. The music, I've been super blessed, dude. If I fell down dead tomorrow, dude, I've lived 10 lives at least. I've seen so much fun, dope shit. It's unbelievable.
Hey, this was a blast. Like, super glad you came on the show. This was super fun to get to know you, to talk with you a bit. Just as a last minute plug, if you're in the Twin Cities area or anywhere upper Midwest, Rockfest is happening in Wisconsin, July 20th. If you want to see
Saturday night, 7:30. Yep.
Saturday night, 7:30. Maybe if Cryptonomicon gets their act together and gets a stage, might be able to catch them in September. But otherwise, Talks.life, check them out. And if you want to hear more or want to get connected with Toxsick, like I said,
sure,
hit me up on the DMs and we'll see if we can't get you connected, because these guys are awesome and they deserve to get blown up. They're great.
Thank you, dude. And on a real stage with like real production, and dude, the show was fucking over the top. There wasn't even any house lights there. Those were the ones we brought. We brought those lights.
Dude, you guys killed it.
Without those lights, it would have been them street lights.
Yep.
In the grinder.
Yeah, and the angle grinder.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, dudes. I'm gonna call my son back. He's been like patiently waiting for a while. I'm gonna see what happened with him yesterday. He likes to break things and spray paint them, so we're dealing with that. I'm like, dude, you can't do that. Come to my house, break my shit, spray paint it. Don't do it at the mall, please.
Right on.
Thanks
All right,
for
dude.
Toxic. Loved it.
Right on. Love you guys, man. Be safe.
All right.
Later.
All right, Lucas. I don't think we have time to get to anything else, so we'll have to do the rest of what we thought we might get on the show. But yeah, that was tons of fun, and we'll see everybody tomorrow on FOMO.
That was awesome. See you, Grant. Yeah, see you tomorrow. See you, Rusty.